Hi, this is Emily. So I was making eggs yesterday. I scramble eggs. And making eggs is always a technique. You can make eggs over easy, or you could add milk to it. I got this Jack and Sally. Yeah, Jack and Sally. Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, I don't eat eggs. I've never been a big egg eater, and for my stomach kind of problems, probably better that I don't. But I work making eggs for people a lot. I used to work with a client named Bella Mark, and from he's a Romanian Jew, and Jews do not celebrate the resurrection of Jesus because a lot of them aren't Christian, but Bella Mark is a Christian, and he went to Buchenwald concentration camp, and there are Christian Jews. I worked for a Polish woman who went to a concentration camp, and she lived downtown, I remember, and she had all of her old things, like her old stove, she had an old bed from the 40s that was all like mirrored with a drawer underneath, and she had her old bras from the 40s that were all like satin and thin, and she had old silverware, fine silverware, and fine china, fine stuff from the 40s. All was kept in time, and she had a portrait of her from the 40s. And if you're a Holocaust survivor, you usually get a lot of money through because if you did documentaries, if you're featured in a museum like Bella Mark, you get money and you're taken care of because of an atrocity that went on with the Jews and Polish people and people who did not agree with Hitler's utopian views of his religious Odin beliefs. His He was delusional. He had a lot of delusions but he lasted so many years, and look, he took over pretty much all of Europe. It was magic because this guy came from nothing, really. He wasn't really that big of a deal, but as a politician, he worked his way up. He made his way up to the social ladder, social climbed with celebrities and other people, and he weaseled his way in. And even celebrities used to like Hitler. Like Clara Bow had a bonnet, one of her 1920s bonnets with a swastika on it, and it's when Hitler was looked at as a just a political leader, like, oh, this is cool, yeah, let's just cheer on this politician, and maybe he had anything else better to do, but he got them out of poverty because of the economy. But he snowballed into one of the worst people on the planet, just an evil person. The Passion of the Christ, when it came out, there was a bunch of people throwing fists at Mel Gibson like he's racist, he's racist against Jews. I don't think that was the case. He spent all of his money, blood, sweat, and tears into a film about a Jewish man. He's not even Jewish. He's Catholic background and Australian. He made Mad Max. Those are great films. And Lethal Weapon. I grew up with those movies. My sister had an old book of Mel Gibson's old movies. She had a Beanie Baby that was named Mel. It was a koala bear. He's a bigger than life actor. He's just amazing. Mel Gibson is a great actor. He did Hamlet. He did all these, Braveheart. Not many people could direct and act. That is a big deal to be able to do both things. And he's just so talented. And when Jim Caviezel was in it, his career went down. He sacrificed his entire career as well as Mel Gibson for this movie. They both sacrificed because they got attacked big time on it. And the movie is the most known Jesus movie of all times. If it was about Buddha, no one would care. Who cares about Buddha? Prince Siddhartha? I remember when Prince Siddhartha movie came out and I saw it in one of my classes for school. Nobody made a toot their horn about it because Siddhartha is not the son of God here. This is Jesus Christ, born in Bethlehem from Mary, who was a virgin, the virgin birth. People rumored he was a bastard. He was just some lying, poor guy who grew up in a carpenter family. Nobody took him serious, including the Roman soldiers crucified him, not the Jews. And Pontius Pilate was a Roman emperor. And the Jews they were overseeing things, and there was Pharisees, but they were all different ethnic groups and mixed as well, because Jews mix as well as like English with Scottish, because I'm British and Scottish, and they were rivals at a time, but they started marrying and mixing and compromising their groups, and eventually they were mixing. And I was with a Jew, he was mixed Jew for a while, and when I added him on Facebook, I had a little feeling. I liked the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He looked like an artist, and he had this thick hair and handsome. It's like one of the members of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and you know how much I love Jimi Hendrix. My dad's a biker. He loved Jimi Hendrix Experience, the Rolling Stones, and he was a biker guy. He wasn't really into career. He was more into just being free on the open road and being a biker. And I saw him, and he sells his art online, and he was friends with my friend who's an artist, who's a pretty happy, hippie, friendly guy, not harmful. And I wanted to meet up with him, so we did. It was near my birthday time. Just like around my birthday time, weird things go on. But this guy is a more liberal Jew. He grew up in Judaism, but he eventually became homeless, and he had a tattoo of Nubis, the jackal god, on his ribs, and a bunch of Egyptian symbols. And the areas where I got manifestations, my marks on my body, he had it on his ribs. I didn't know he had all those Egyptian tattoos underneath, but he took off his shirt because I was in my car with him in my old Aveo, and he's more on the aggressive side. He's very persuasive, and he's a good-looking guy. And I later on I was told by Drevel Seco, it's his artist name, that he has a reputation to jump on girls. He's just does whatever he wants. He's one of those. He's one of those kind of guys. And I was like, he was trying to get me to go out with him. And after that, I changed my mind. I'm like, you can't be too fast and quick to judge about things you don't always know. And for a Jew to get tattoos of Egyptian symbols, that's a big deal because of the history with the slavery. The Egyptians enslaved the Jews, and the pagans would copy each other. The Slavic Vikings originally had slaves. They were pagan, and then it passed on with the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians. Many nations did that. And crucifixion, which I was terrified of when I was young, came from Babylon in BC, before Christ, way before. And they were the worshippers of Pazuzu, and they were violent. They were disgusting. They would get off in violence. And the Passion of the Christ movie was not even halfway to what really was going on in real life, because Jesus did not appear to be even a man. And the movie was edited. And it did show Jesus that violently awful, where his face didn't even appear to be a man anymore. This is the Son of God. People hated him. You think of all these Jewish actors like Jerry Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman, they hate Jesus, okay? They don't like Jesus. They want anything to do with Jesus. Ron Jeremy, the porn star, he raped girls. Is that surprising? Ron Jeremy, the porn star, who was the boy next door in Playgirl in the 70s, this call it a gerbil, whatever you want to call him, he's just disgusting, gross guy. Is that surprising? He's raped girls. Even if he wasn't a porn star, he would rape girls, and I know it. No way. And Ron Jeremy used to be in a respectful job position before he even got into porn. Something about him just seemed very deviant and evil to me, probably from a very weird, dysfunctional family, like Mickey Avalon, who is Yeshi Pearl, yeah, Yeshua Pearl here. His parents were drug addicts, and his sister died of an overdose, and he had a trip where he got into Judaism for a short period. But the reason why I know about all of this is because my cousin, who goes to Burning Man, he's big on going to Burning Man. He's a tattoo artist. He's in Chore Boys. He told me that he's met like Simon Rex and different people because he's into music and playing around with music. And he told me he walks around like he isn't living for much. He isn't living for much is because he doesn't know Christ. He just does drugs. and hangs out with Simon Rex, and they're comedians. They're funny. They're really funny, but they do a bunch of drugs. That's all they do. He was a heroin addict, and not all Jews are Christians. Not all, and even me, I just, here I jumped in bed with this guy. He's a good looking guy. I didn't really know much about him. It's just our human nature to be evil, okay? It's just, look, you're looking eyeballs around. I see you do it. You did it. And there are these actors like, there's Woody Allen. He has a history with women that are really bad. All these different, there's huge. Barbara Streisand, my best friend, she's mixed with Jew and Japanese. Her grandma is Jew, and she's real liberal. She's into the wealth and health, practice feng shui. She was a therapist, has a bunch of crystals and Buddhas everywhere, and yeah, she's more of a liberal Jew. And I've worked for other liberal Jews, like May Katzman. I work for May Katzman. I work for many liberal Jews. Some of them, they're pro-abortion. They don't like Jesus. They grew up in Judaism. A lot of them are more liberal Jew. And artists, they'll draw rabbis and all that. And they might like Hanukkah or go to a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah and attend their family gatherings, but they're not serious. They're not in Judaism. Kyle is not in a Judaism, he told me. He's just himself. That's him. And everybody is just particular to their preference. It's just not them. Not everybody's the same cookie cutter about it. When it comes to Jesus Christ here, any movie made that's realistic or even comes close to making a realistic of Jesus, people are going to just jeer and get mad about it. Buddha, nobody cares about Buddha. Come on now. Asian culture, Prince Siddhartha, the guy who practiced meditation and tried to reach enlightenment and was starving himself and letting the birds poop on him while he ate bird feces. The guy, that's a whole different belief. That's irrelevant to Jesus. It's not connected to Jesus. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ grew up in Bethlehem from a virgin birth through the Holy Spirit and was from a family that was not rich, this poor, and he hung around Mary Magdalene, a prostitute. And no one even believed Mary Magdalene when she believed that Christ had resurrected. Everybody didn't disbelieve Mary Magdalene that Jesus resurrected. Now we're coming close to spring. It's my birthday time. I was born April 6th, and including Easter is coming up. Not everybody celebrates Easter. Not everybody's big on Easter. Not everybody's big on Halloween. Some people celebrate Halloween, and they love their Sabbath. They practice Santeria and all kinds of religions. That's when you're going to your ancestors for information, and where's this information coming from? Think about it. I've already studied very in depth about this. There's a lot in there, and yes, I'm related to all kinds of people, interesting royals and all that, but I don't think these spirits are of the dead. They're just little. Demons are nosy. They go around and they circulate and they see things and they'll give flashes of visions of things, but it's not really the person you're in contact with. It's not them. I have my beliefs on this, and I've had my experiences with this through the years, and those marks on my ribs are from manifestations for years. They come, they go, they come, they go, they come, they go. And then I went in that car with Kyle there. Yeah, looking Louie here. It happens, and you're not the only one, right? It happens. And it was like, he wanted to bring me out around my birthday time. Remember, I think it was last year, but I didn't do it. I didn't want to go out. Couldn't. He moved, and things just got pushed and shoved around in different places, and things happen. Yeah, wasn't planned, but I heard he had a bad reputation with girls. They're my artist friend. He stole his paint kit. Because I bought him a paint kit, but then I ended up just using the paints myself. Strange enough, things just are that way. But yeah, The Passion of the Christ, I saw it in movie theaters when it came out, and it was scary, especially the one who portrayed Satan is a female. I looked her up. She's an Italian actress with hazel eyes. She's intimidating. They want to make her in between, which is smart. That's exactly what I would call it, like a unisex spirit of, you know, it's not really evil, it's not really out there, but you kind of see and kind of know it. And that never was represented in a movie ever before. This was more close to accurate, but not exactly, but it's closer to there. And if they had made a movie about Babylon and about Egyptian culture, Roman culture, it would be so ridiculously violent and horrible that nobody would watch it because it's so violent, including the amount of, it was over the top, and in their society they were used to it, and they had their red light districts, and they're way worse than the red light districts now. There was no policies on things. And my cousin, he goes to Burning Man. He believes that people evolved and became better through the years. They, like, the women look better now, but it's because there's alterations of looks with plastic surgery, cosmetics. But drugs eventually by time will kill you. Because he took magic mushrooms and were evolving to become like superhumans here, but it destroys the body by time. It just alters your consciousness when you take those drugs. And Adam and Eve were all the ethnic groups of all the world, so they were dark. They looked dark, very dark, darker than black here, very, very dark couple. And it passed on as the years went by, and when incest started becoming a problem, like bringing in deformities and all that, there were rules to not do that anymore. But the Egyptians were doing it, and they didn't care because they wanted to keep the family in there. The Egyptians and the Romans, they were marrying their own family members, but the incest was horrid, including other gross things that would go on, like orgies. Drinking a bunch of wine, hanging out and partying with their friends, going out to bathhouses with a bunch of guys. Eventually syphilis and other diseases came along, like horrible diseases, gonorrhea and all that. And when that happened, things changed and people slowed down, but still it goes on. And the red light districts are not as bad as those red light districts. But I do think as things are getting better with the technology and all these, even though there's a lot of medicines, it doesn't matter. It doesn't help that if you're prostituting, you're going to be depressed because you're doing this line of work, like Yeshua Pearl here. And I don't think he wanted to do that, but he did it because he was a heroin addict. And a lot of them just do it because of drugs. That's it. Have a blessed day.